Welcome to the first episode of Forbidden Frames. Let's find out what the challenge is. Alright. Photography style. The photo must represent a historical fact that is related to the year the camera was manufactured, emphasizing storytelling. Preparation time. 1 week for a test shoot, learning the camera, finding a theme. Challenge. You have only 2 rolls of 35mm film, black and white and color. The black and white film must be used inside the studio and the color film must be used outside your studio within a 50-meter radius. You're limited to these 2 locations only. Time. You have only 3 hours to complete both sessions. Equipment. Nikon F3 180mm prime lens, 55mm macro lens, 55mm prime lens, circular polarizing filters, Kodak L858D, waist level viewfinder. Film type, 35mm black and white and color. You'll receive the films on the shoot day. Lighting, natural light outdoor, constant light indoor. Model, you're limited to 1 model only. And passing rules, you must have at least 1 image in black and white and 1 in color, each with a proper exposure, sharpness and composition that tells a story. If you fail the passing, you must do a self-portrait boudoir session. So that's my challenge. Let's see what equipment we have. This is my camera, the lenses, Kodak light mirror, waist level viewfinder. I assume these are polarizing filters, and that's it. So now let's find out if I'm going to make history with Nikon F3 or not. The Nikon F3 high eye point is a professional SLR 35mm camera. The camera was first introduced to the market in 1980 and continued production until 2001. What made this camera unique is its versatility. It has 6 interchangeable finder options and it has 22 focusing screen options. The camera was designed by Giorgetto Giugiaro specifically for NASA, so it has numerous lenses, it has flash options, customizable grips, motor drive, and many other accessories. The Nikon F3 comes in 2 body types, the standard F3, which is what I have here now, and the F3T, which was made of titanium specifically for NASA. This is Nikon's last manual focus camera, and its biggest feature is that you can shoot in automatic exposure with aperture priority. This camera has an electronic shutter, so it requires a battery, but it also has a manual backup shutter in case your battery dies. Some of the most popular images, such as The Afghan Girl by Steve McCurry in 1984, are captured by this camera. It also has used in movies by famous actors like Sean Penn and Ben Stiller in The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. The approximate value as of June 2024 for this camera is between $400 and $1,100. What other elements you think resemble the 80s style?
For makeup, we have, besides the thick brows that will be perfect to frame the face, we actually have mascara on both top and bottom lashes, so that way those elements really pop through the camera as well. And then later we're going to finish off with a nice, bright, but subtle for our look, pink lip.
So we'll have the scarves and we'll use newspaper as well that we prepared. The newspaper is actually from the 80s. It's a real newspaper. Okay, let's start photographing. So I'm going to meter and see. My aperture, I want to go for shallow depth of field for this shot. So with the lens that I'm shooting, I can do it on 2.8. So my ISO for the film is 160. Okay, let me make sure everything is correct here. Okay, I set up my ISO 260. This is ready. My aperture is 2.8. Now I'm going to check my meter and check what my shutter should be. Okay, let me... 2.8, 160. Now it is showing 1000 ISO. So, okay, let me do it with 1000 ISO as the light meter is telling me. Okay, now it's 1000 ISO. I'm going to focus on Ashley. That looks perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna go one stop underexposed. I'm gonna shoot with 500 of a second shutter. That's my shot number 2, pose 1. Perfect. And now I'm going to, so that was overexposed, and now I'm going to go with 2000 of a second. Okay, perfect. That's a drastic drop. Okay. I'll try to frame you in between those two columns. Let's see how this looks. So with this lens, I have to be very close to you. I feel like I'm losing that shallow depth of field. Okay, let me focus. With macro is a little bit more difficult to focus. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oops, again, keep forgetting. Okay, so this is 250. I'm gonna go for 125. And I'm gonna go for 500. This was my first time shooting with film and the camera wasn't tested. I knew I would be very nervous, so I asked for a week to test the camera. I went out and I shot some trees, I shot some signs just to get the hang of it. For this challenge, I had to come up with a theme related to the year the camera was released, so I went on internet and I started looking for historical events from 1980s. And the Iranian Revolution came up. I thought it was an interesting topic to show how women went from being free to being completely covered. And for inspiration, I came across the film Argo with Ben Affleck. I watched the film and I thought it would be interesting to have the model in lingerie, but have her wearing a scarf. I didn't want to offend anyone, so I chose scarves that are more on the fashion side, I would say, but I still had to relate to the time period. So I found an original newspaper on Etsy from 1980 with the title "Hostages Freed" with Ronald Reagan's photo on the cover. I thought that was perfect.
So starting from the left, we got the shoe accessory over here, and then we got the winding knob right here. We also have this little lever over here which is saying push to the right. So it pushes to the right and then lift up the winding knob to open the back of the camera. So like that, then the back of the camera opens. We also have the exposure compensation dial over here, so if you just press it and you can move it up and down, and this is the button right here. And we have the ISO dial right here. You can pull it up and then you can change your ISO. So here we have the finder. This finder is interchangeable, and I got one waist level finder right here. So over here we got the shutter speed dial. You just press it and then you can change the shutter speed. So underneath the dial or the shutter speed dial right here, you have your timer. So if you push this lever to the left, when it says red, that means that the timer is on. This is the self-timer light.
What I really liked about the camera is that first it's Nikon. I'm a Nikon shooter and I just felt a little safer because of the brand. Even though this camera is nothing like my Nikon D850 or Z8. I like that I was able to change lenses. Just the idea of having 3 lens options was perfect for the shoot, especially having the 55mm macro, a 55mm f1.2 and a 180mm f2.8 lens. I knew I could capture great images with these lenses. Very good, and let me just make sure you're in focus right here. Yeah, perfect. And everything is framed, beautiful. Very good. So I'll try, oh, okay, the polarizing filter. Sorry, Ashley, I have to.
Did it die?
It overheated.
Overheated.
Okay, just turn it off.
For a few seconds, yeah, I'm just waiting for a little bit.
So since the sun is gone again, I'm going to take off my polarizing filter and shoot without it. Okay, I'm gonna check my exposure again. Okay, 2000 now. 4000 on her chest and 2000 on her face. So I'll start with 2000. Okay, ready, Ashley? Focusing first. Okay, 1000, now 500. And 2000.
All right.
Give me 2 claps.
Okay, now Ashley, I want you to move to this side. So how many shots do I have? Oh, we're closer to 30 already, like 27. I think that's pretty cool. I just want to see. So what is in my frame is just you and the blue brick, which a little bit white as well. What if you turn your face to this side so I could see a little bit more of your scarf? Perfect. All right, and let me mirror again. The only problem, I cannot. Okay, 1000. 4,000 on your body and 1,000 on your face. Okay, so let's start from 1,000 first. Uh, 500. And 2,000. All right, good. Okay, so we're at 30 shots right now. Ooh. I want to try this area with white. So it's going to be white and blue a little bit. A little bit out on the white side. No, like closer to this blue wall, but yeah, somewhere right there. So now just a little bit of blue in my frame, white and you. So we can turn also your face to the side. Right there, yeah, I think I like that side. And with your legs, yeah, I like that type of, yeah, perfect. More tilt towards Andres. Yeah, that's perfect. I love that pose. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna do 2 shots with 2.8 and then I'll switch to F4 and adjust from there. Bend your wrist right there, yeah. Perfect. So that was 2,000. Now I'm going to for 1,000. And now I'm going to change, I'm gonna mirror again. 2,000 on your face and 2,000 on the body. 2,000 on the body. 2,000 on the face. That's the first time.
Make sure you're doing great.
Yeah. Sky, 16,000. Yeah. Okay. Focusing. Perfect. So now it is 2,000 and F4. And I'm going to do 1,000 F4.
We spent $360 on the camera, about $470 on the lenses, $280 on the waist level finder, $30 on the focusing screen, $25 on the test shoot, $15 on the Kodak, and $12 on the Ilford film roll, $30 for processing and scan. We spent $300 on the model, $80 for lunch, $100 for the videographer assistant, $100 for hair and makeup, $45 on props, and $65 on the wardrobe, and $40 on gas. So the total cost for this photo session was $1,952.
I had many challenges during the session, but focusing, I would say, was the obvious one. I always used autofocus, and during the session I discovered that I'm physically not capable of manual focusing because I cannot close one of my eyes. The camera had a Type G focusing screen, which is clear in the outer area and has a somewhat weird small micro prism in the center. I would probably much prefer a split image focusing screen for the session. I also faced challenges working with the spot meter. I know how to use a light meter in the studio, but I wasn't very familiar with working with a spot meter. I was also limited in location choice and creativity. I was only allowed to shoot within a 50-meter radius from my studio and also inside of my studio. Additionally, I was constrained by time, and only had one roll of 36 exposures and one roll of 24 exposures. With a digital camera, I could have used them in a heartbeat, but every shot was taking so much time mirroring the light and trying to focus, which took away from the creative part of the process. My biggest challenge was that I was super nervous. I was shooting without knowing if the camera even worked. During my test shoot, I slacked and I didn't send the images for processing on time, so I didn't get a chance to see the final images of the test shoot. It felt like shooting an arrow in the dark while people watching me and expecting me to hit the bullseye. So now we are moving to an indoor, in-studio session, and Ashley's ready here. We changed to a black color lingerie, we changed shoes, and we're still using newspaper and the same scarf. And I'm gonna shoot with the portrait lens. This one is the same 180mm lens and the same camera, just different film. So I'm shooting with black and white film for this session, and it's ISO 400. So I'm going to set up my camera to 400 ISO, so it's ready. I'm going to set up my f-stop, my aperture to 4, and let's meter and see. Oh, before we do that, I want to go over my lighting. So we're going for harsh lighting with really harsh highlights, but soft shadow. So I don't want her body to disappear in the shadows completely. I still want to show some texture, some details in those shadows. So we are using one light over here. This is continuous light, constant light, to create beautiful light on her face and her legs and the newspaper. And I have another light over here to fill in the shadows, and we will soften it with the diffuser. So let's meter and see what my shutter should be. Okay, let me make sure that everything is okay. ISO 400 f4, and it shows 250 when I meter for her face. 250. And now let's see the darkest area. That's going to be the bra, and that's 15 of a second. All right, I think the light over here is also adding light on her face, so we are going to go ahead and block it to make sure that the ratio between highlights and shadows is not very drastically different. Yeah. So Andreas is going to help me with that. We're just gonna block a little bit by positioning it above, slightly above the light. Yeah, it should be higher.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it higher. Just gonna bring it back a minute.
I actually like how you're reading it. So that's like, yeah. A little bit higher, I think. Does it go higher or no? Yeah, like that. Do you think that's, or no, a little bit lower?
You tell me, because I can see a difference.
Yeah, now it's 125. The biggest lesson I learned from the session was that black and white film photography in the studio is nothing like digital photography in the studio. I was originally nervous about shooting outdoors, and I was very comfortable shooting in the studio because I do it every day, but final images proved otherwise.
Or to load a film, this is a 35mm film. You just have to first put this up. Okay, so you put a film in there, very simple. Then you pull it out. This is a dummy film, by the way. And then you can see these little cuts over here. I don't know how to call that, but just put the film in there. And then make sure you close this. Put it down so the film is like locked. Take a picture. And that's it. So you want to make sure that this is actually like caught up in there and you are actually advancing the film before you close it. So at least do it like 1 or 2 times. You're gonna probably lose a couple frames or not, but actually you won't. So over here you can see the frame counter is not on 0 yet. So if I take picture, okay, and now I'm on 0.
I was extremely nervous to see the final images, especially since I didn't know what they would look like. But I was pleasantly surprised. I really like the color images, I like the tones, I like the mood, and I was pretty happy with the exposure. However, I was not really happy with the black and white images. My shadows were not as dark as I wanted them to be, and my highlights were pretty blown out. I also had lots of out of focus images, and that were quite disappointing to me. Okay, so this is a little bit overexposed.
Mm-hmm.
This is even more overexposed.
I think that's where you want to stop higher.
Yeah, we need to look at the log to see what exactly I was doing. I wish I had spent more time practicing how to focus with that particular screen and learning how to use the spot meter. There was a time when I accidentally clicked on something and all my metering might have been incorrect, so I doubted myself and I retook those images. I also wish I had spent some time analyzing the lighting. I noticed a few images where I'm missing the catch lights, but my entire focus was just on advancing the film, mirroring the light, and focusing. I think it was a great experience and I would definitely use the Nikon F3 again. I will probably change the focusing screen and buy some new lenses for the session. I definitely learned that I struggle with black and white film photography in the studio, which is ironic because it's my strongest point and the niche in the digital photography world. I realized that as an artist and photographer, there is still so much for me to learn, and I need to work on elevating my skills by exploring the techniques of the past. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a little bit underexposed now. we have.
No, I think it's good.
It's
Wow.
good?
Yeah, it's just a little bit soft. I mean, again,
This one is nice, and it's kind of dark in the studio too. I think this one is nice. This is blurry. So there is some focusing issues. This is nice.
also blurry.
Also
It's
blurry.
focused on the newspaper. Yeah, they're all focused on the newspaper.
This one is interesting, no?
Mm-hmm.
Is it also focus on the newspaper or? Okay. So this is when I realized, right, that I wasn't metering properly. These are the final images I choose for our upcoming book. I'm happy with these images and I think we made boudoir history with Nikon F3. I hope you learned something today and don't forget to watch the complete behind the scenes chapters for this session on BIB TV. The entire process and the behind the scenes content are available to watch. Well, until next week with another film camera and another boudoir session. Believe in boudoir.